You're listening to the 233rd edition of the Bitachon podcast. We're learning together psukim that were collated by Reb Zindel of Salat. And he brings a passuk in Shmuel alef, perek passuk vav. There, the Navi is speaking about the story with Yehonasan and Shmuel HaMelech and his son, and they are encountering an incredibly difficult situation. The situation involved their enemies. They were living in the land of Israel, and as Jewish people have always had, as they have today, we had enemies, and they were the Plishtim, the Philistines. And in that time, the Plishtim were in charge. They had the Jewish people under their boot, and they had made a decree that in the land of Israel, no Jew is allowed to own any kind of metal implement. You want to plow your field? You can't do it. If you want to do so, you have to rent it or borrow it from one of the Plishtim. And the reason that they did this is because they didn't want the Jewish people to have any arms. They didn't want any metal implements to be used by Jews in order to fight back from being under the boot of the Philistines. Now what happens, if you read the psukim, what happens is that Shmuel and Yehonasan, the king and his son, they somehow were able, I believe it's Rashi says, through a nace, in a miraculous way, they were able to get an armed implement. They were able to get metal and fashion it into a sword. And they went out to war. I believe that none of the other soldiers had these kind of implements. They didn't really have a way to fight. They were destined, it would seem, to lose any kind of war that they would fight against the Philistines, to try to wrest back power and be out from under their boot. And the Navi describes how Yehonasan, the son of Shmuel HaMelech, King Saul's son, Jonathan, he went with one of his men, and they had these armed implements. They had their sword or their spear, whatever it was, only they. And they went together, and in the end, there was an incredible miracle. It was just the two of them came into the camp, and they made a sign for Hashem. They saw that they were going to have success. And they were able to come into the camp, kill about 20 people, 20 enemy soldiers. And the tumult that was created and the fear that was struck into the hearts of the Philistines caused the Philistines to actually, they thought that they were being overrun by Jews. And they fought with each other. They ended up killing each other. In a miraculous way, the Jewish people were able to overcome their enemies without even setting foot into the army encampment, except for Yehonasan and his nar, his young man who was with him. Now, in the middle of the story, as they're about to enter into the enemy camp, Yehonasan turns to his nar, to the man who's with him, and he says like this, Yehonasan el nar, noisei Caleb. He says to the young man who's carrying his vessels, let's go over and get into the encampment of these uncircumcised people, these non-Jews, our enemies. Maybe Hashem will make a miracle for us, and we'll be able to succeed. We'll be able to overcome our enemies, even though we don't really have the wherewithal to do it. And he says a pivotal line, which we're going to see has so much to do with us. He says Hashem has nothing holding him back to bring about salvation with a lot or with a little. We just have two swords, two spears. That's it. Just us against thousands or tens of thousands. But Hashem can accomplish the same thing whether it's just a few of us or many of us. And indeed, the miracle happens. Brings here from the Torah. And we're going to hear a lot about the approach, the correct spiritual approach to having a balance when it comes to our involvement in Gashmias, our involvement in work. There are people who are on a very high level of Bitachon. They don't need to work at all. They don't need to get involved in the physical world. They just sit, they study Torah, they're completely spiritual. Hashem provides for them in a miraculous manner. But what happens to those who have to go out make their way in the world, want to find a balance, what's the correct approach? So the Torah says in Orach Chaim, this means this is halacha, he speaks about the fact, V'achar kach yelech la'asakav. He's speaking about, it's in Siman Kuf Nun. After a person prays, after a person completes the morning involvement in spiritual matters, so he goes out to his work. Because if a person, generally speaking, people don't have the natural ability to be completely involved in spiritual matters only, exclusively. A person who tries to do that often will end up unable to continue in that way, and it will end up that he'll do sin. Because if he doesn't have the physical wherewithal, if he doesn't have the money that he needs in order to buy food, so he's going to end up going off the derech, he's going to leave the path of Hashem. He says, the appropriate approach when it comes to work is to make sure that the work remains secondary. It's temporary. That's not the main thing that I'm doing. My Torah, the learning, the spiritual involvement, the seeking a relationship with Hashem, that is the kavua thing in my life. That's the main thing in my life. The work that I do, I gotta be able to feed my family, I gotta be able to feed myself. But make sure that that is secondary. The work is secondary. The learning is the main thing. We find, the Gemara in Brachos says, that there were these original righteous individuals, that they would learn and they would work not as much as they would be involved in prayer. Each prayer, Shachos, Mincha, and Ma'ariv, they would prepare for an hour before the prayer. They would meditate. They would get into a state of communion with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They would daven. The actual tefillah itself was an hour. Then afterwards, they would spend another hour in connection, meditation, connecting to Hashem. So the Gemara says, if they're spending 9 hours a day on their prayer, what about their work? What about their learning? So the Gemara says that since they were Hasidim, since they were righteous individuals, because of their relationship being so powerful, so they didn't forget their learning, and their malacha, the work that they did, a small amount of work, was successful. Got them everything that they needed. So the Torah brings, the Hasidim Yishayin, they would make their work to be something secondary, and their Torah, meaning their relationship with Hashem, was kavua. It was the main thing in their life. And as a result of that, they had both. They both lasted. They both worked. Very interesting. He's understanding our passuk, which says that there's nothing stopping Hashem from saving a person, giving them what they need, whether it's a lot or a little. The small amount of effort can be enough if the person is focused properly. The person makes sure that the center of his life is his relationship with Hashem. If that's where I am, and that's what Bitachon is about, if the center of my life is a relationship with Hashem, connection spiritually, so then I don't have to work as much. But really the point here that the Torah is bringing out is that what is central in my life? The work needs to be secondary. The work needs to be done, but it needs to be secondary. That's not the main thing in my life. My spirituality, my limud Torah, my connection to Hashem, that's the main thing in my life. He brings here from a letter from Reb Shlomo Alkovitz, who is the author of the Chadodi. V'chazar v'yomer HaMishnah, it's something that the Shla brings, the Maseches Shvuos. Ashreichem bonai, shuvu elimudchem al tafsiku rega. Praiseworthy are you, my children. Come back to your learning and don't stop for a moment. Va'alu la'eretz Yisrael, and move to the land of Israel. Says Rabbi Shlomo Alkovitz, who I believe lived in Sfat, in the north of Israel. This is, I believe, in the 1600s, around there, maybe 1500s. So he was already saying 500 years ago, you got to move to Israel. Make sure you're focused. And what does it mean to move to Israel? It means, and if you come here, you see it's true. Come to the place where there's less gashmias. There's less focus on physical needs. More of a focus on ruchnius. Not all times are equal. What does a person think about? Why shouldn't they leave Chutz La'aretz? Why shouldn't they focus on their learning? Because a person thinks, well, I got to make a living. It's easier to make a living maybe in Chutz La'aretz. More of a focus there. So he's saying, look, you think you got to do a lot and you have to have a lot. But he says, the passuk tells us, you think that you need a lot of efforts in order to, people say you got to put in maximum efforts. You have to put in maximum shtadlus. No, that's not what the passuk says. There's no difference to Hashem whether a person puts in a minimum or a maximum of efforts. Let your eyes not care about your kalim, meaning all the things, all of the physical things that accompany a person in life. It's the car, or it's the house, or it's the fancy stuff that a person has. Forget about that stuff. Move to Eretz Yisrael, you get the real thing. You get to enjoy the real place. You get to consume the goodness of the land, which is a spiritual goodness. If you will listen, if you will do what's right and you'll listen, you'll enjoy the goodness of that land, the land of Israel. Therefore, quickly he says, get up, get out of where you are, and move to the land of Israel. Person's worried, how am I going to make a living in Israel? How am I going to provide for my kids? What's going to be? Hashem says, I'm the one who's going to provide for you here. I'm the one that's taking care of you wherever you are, honestly. Come to the land of Israel, says the author of the Chadaidi, which we say every week on Friday night. Come to Eretz Yisrael. You will be peace. Your house will be peaceful. Everything in your life will be peaceful. That's what he says. He brings here from the Magid Mesharim. This is what an angel said to the Beis Yosef. The Beis Yosef was the author of the Shulchan Aruch. He had a Magid, an angel, who revealed different secrets to him. And the book that he wrote based on the secrets from this angel was called Magid Mesharim. And here's some of the secrets. You ready? Here's an angel talking to us. He was saying to the Beis Yosef, Hashem has been with you for 40 years. I'm not sure if he's talking about his specific life or if he's talking about what we learned from the 40 years in the Midbar, in the wilderness. But Hashem has been with you for 40 years. You weren't missing anything now, and you'll never be missing anything. Hashem will always provide for you. You don't need to be worried at all. Everything that you need is provided for you. You don't have to be worried about anything. Hashem is going to give you success. The Malach quotes the passuk, which says that Hashem can provide for you whether you do a little or a lot. The Chazayta b'Haishata to betray Alfen Zuzin Shoder lecha HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ravcha Kol Kach K'mei b'Chamishes Alafim. You see, and it's obviously talking about a specific story that happened, but the 2,000 Zuzim, some kind of sum of money, 2,000, let's say, dollars that you received was actually equal in some way to $5,000. It had the value, the effective value to you of more than double. L'chein. So why did Hashem send you this message? Understand. Stop worrying so much about mundane matters, the Malach told the Beis Yosef. Always think and learning. Don't stop for a moment. Continue continuously to be involved in your relationship with Hashem. Everything else is going to fall into place. And if you look for it, you're going to find it. That's what the Malach was telling him. Look around in your life, you're going to see that Hashem is showing you that He's taking care of you. It's not going to stop. Stay true. Stay focused. Stay connected to the Torah, to your relationship with Hashem. He brings here from the Drashas Maram Shik. V'zeh Rabbi Norai. It's a Gemara in Kedushin at the very end. Rabbi Norai said, Maniach ani kol unesh ba'olam, ve'eni melamedis b'ni elo Torah. I'm going to set aside every single type of craft that I could possibly teach my child for him to be able to make money. I'm going to just teach him one thing. I'm going to teach him Torah. Because once he's focused on that, if he puts all his focus on that, everything else will come. Shenamar quotes the Maram Shik, the passuk, "V'koyvi Hashem yachalifu koyach yalu ever kansharim." Those who hope to Hashem, those who are focused on their relationship with Hashem, koyvi Hashem, they renew their strength. They grow a limb. They grow wings like eagles. V'hainu koyvi Hashem. What does it mean, koyvi Hashem, those who hope to Hashem? Al yidei ha'amunah v'bitachon shein mazal Yisrael. If I am constantly reminding myself, recognizing and reminding and thinking about, contemplating, studying together, emunah and bitachon, reviewing it every single week, every single day, thinking about it, I have faith. I know absolutely, I have full confidence. The Jewish people are not affected by the stars and by all the things that affect everyone else. We have a direct line into HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem Himself is helping us. Doing a lot of efforts does not have any real effect. It may look like it does. As our passuk says, there's nothing stopping Hashem from providing for me, whether I do a little bit or a lot. It's the same for Him. When I get that down, when I knock that in, when I get it into my heart, when I have that real perception, the real truth is inside of me, it doesn't matter how much I do. It's all only Hashem. If He wants me to have, I have. If He doesn't, I don't. Those who hope to Hashem in this way, recognition, focus, work on, emunah, bitachon, faith, confidence in Hashem. They get new strength. They get renewed strength. Rak b'Torah. And they invested only in Torah. They put all of their efforts into Torah. If that's what we do, so then we get a wing like an eagle. We fly. We're flying because we have the spiritual wing. When we have the wind of Hashem under our wings, lifting us up, helping us continue, helping us fly. Let's read one more little piece here, or it's a little bit bigger than little, but Bnei Yissaschar says like this. Amar Razal, our sages said, Hanig b'hem minig derech eretz, charisha v'zriya v'ketzira v'chayotze. We do need, the Gemara says in Brachos on Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis, we need to be involved. The Hamona, generally speaking, most people need to be involved in planting, first, the charisha, the plowing, the planting, and then the harvesting. But just do a little bit, it'll be enough. You'll be able to get a lot from a little bit. That's the sign, by the way, of something spiritual. When you see that a little bit of effort produces a lot of results, that's the sign that you're in the right place. Believe in Hashem, in the life giver of the worlds. Hashem gives life to all of reality. believe it. Believe it. Hashem is going to provide for you. It doesn't matter whether you do a little or a lot. Be careful also. The small amount that you do, don't believe that it's from that. It's not even a result of that small amount that you've done. Hashem does one. He has decreed that we need to put in some kind of effort in order for the parnasa to come. Where does the money come from? The numbers in your bank account, where do they come from? The dollars in your pocket, where does it come from? Keep reminding yourself, it's only Him. It's only Him. Hashem gives the person the power, gives the person the direction, the thought of what to do next, how to make the money. As soon as you finish your work, get back to the Beis Medrash. Make sure you're setting times to be studying Torah. The person who's doing this is also called, he's studying, he's involved in learning, even though he's gone off to work for some time. As long as you infuse the work that you do, the efforts you put in, infuse that with conscious awareness, constant conscious awareness of Hashem. Hashem is helping you in that small amount that you do. But the main thing is, where am I looking to? What's my aspiration? It's to be involved in learning. It's to be involved in connection to Hashem. And he finishes off with a little note here. He explains there's something really important. When a person gets up to Shemayim, when a person after 120 years on this earth gets up to heaven, so they ask him a slew of questions. Did you make your friend a king? Did you act honestly? Did you set times for learning? But they ask, Nasasa Nasata Bemuna, which we usually translate as, did you, in your business dealings, were you honest? The question is, when you were, it says, the words are not, did you have business dealings honestly, but did you deal, when you were involved in your business, did you deal with faith, with emunah? So he says it means, did you believe when you were involved in your work, did you do it be'emunah, with faith and recognition that it's not you, that it's only Him, that it's only Hashem doing it? That's what they're going to ask us after 120. When you were learning, when you were working, were you in a state of recognition that it's not you, that it's only Him? That it's Hashem giving you the power, that it's Hashem providing you with the money. There's nothing stopping Him whether you do a small amount or a lot. And then what's the next question? Did you set times for learning? Because a person excuses himself, I can't set time for learning because I'm involved in my work. But if you really believe that it's all Hashem, so you don't have to do so much work. He can do anything with a small amount of effort. So you had time. You could have been koveh. Were you koveh? Did you have emunah in your business dealings such that you made time to learn? Did you have that recognition? Because really it's enough to do a small amount of efforts. Ad kan l'shonei. Thank you so much for listening. See you again next time.